Before we get into today's topic, I want to say something really important. If you are tired of being self aware enough to know exactly what pattern you're in, that you keep saying you're going to do these important things and then starting and stopping and not doing it, and it's been months, maybe years that you've been stuck in that pattern, but you're still watching yourself repeat it anyway, I want you in my live class that's happening this coming Tuesday. It is completely free. It is live. I will be there with you. And it is going to shift you in ways that I can pretty much guarantee nothing has ever shifted you before. That pattern I just painted the picture of is a very specific kind of exhausting. Like knowing what you should do, knowing what you want, knowing the version of you you're trying to become and the results you want in your body, your money, your relationships, your life, whatever, your house, anything. And then still somehow ending up back in the old pattern again and again. And it is not because you're lazy or because you need another motivational speech. And it's definitely not because you need to shame yourself into another restart. It is because follow through is an identity pattern. And in this live class, it's called Stop Starting Over, okay? The 5 steps to becoming the woman who follows through. I am going to show you from a neuroscience perspective exactly what needs to shift so consistency becomes normal for you. And this is designed for very busy, overburdened women living chaotic lives with work and life and business and kids and whatever. So this isn't going to be something time heavy or overwhelming. It's an hour of your life. This shitty pattern has taken years from you. Move things around and come live Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Grab the link in the show notes if you're on your device or go to alliecasasa.com/stopstartingover. Get yourself signed up and I will see you there. Let's get into today's topic. If you have been second guessing everything lately, or maybe even for longer than just lately, I want you to really, really listen to this episode. And when I say second guessing everything, I actually mean everything. Like when you get to a point where you're second guessing, like what you want to eat, if you want to go to something, if you want to say yes, if you want to say no, if you're truly tired or just avoiding something, if you really want the thing, or if you just think you should want the thing, if the no you can feel in your body is actually real or valid, or if you're just being dramatic and you should say yes. If that gut feeling is intuition, or if it's fear, or if it's self-sabotage, or whatever else your brain decides to call it that day. This cycle is so exhausting. It is exhausting because you're not just making a decision, which, for women specifically, we have decision fatigue all the time. So that's enough on its own. But it's also because you're like arguing with yourself the entire time. You feel something for like half a second and you don't want to go. You want to say yes. Something feels off. You're tired. You want more in this situation or from this person. But then almost immediately your brain starts talking you out of it. Like, well, are you sure? Does that really even make sense? What will people think? You're being dramatic. Like, what if this is wrong of you? What if you regret it? What if you're just tired? What if you're being avoidant and you should just push through this feeling and do it anyway? What if you're making this harder than it needs to be? And then all of a sudden you're 3 hours deep in your head and you feel super overwhelmed and more confused than when you started, and you still haven't made the decision. And the part of you that feels the saddest to me about all of this, like the part that's going on within you, is that underneath all of that overthinking, a lot of women are walking around with this quiet feeling of like, God, why don't I know what I want anymore? Why is it so hard for me to make simple decisions? What happened? Like, I used to be so much clearer. I used to have stronger opinions. I used to know what felt right away. I used to be able to make a decision and just move forward. And now everything feels like I'm not sure. It feels like a negotiation. That is what we're talking about today. I don't think this is just about being bad at making decisions. I don't think this is just, I'm just an overthinker. I had someone tell me recently, like, oh, I'm an air sign. So, like, I just, overthinking is just part of, like, I don't think this is just one of those cute little personality quirks or something that you have to just accept, like, especially when it's at the level that I'm describing. Like, no. For a lot of women, this is disconnection from self, and it matters. When you're disconnected from yourself, literally everything gets harder. Decision making gets harder, follow through, consistency, trusting your desires, trusting your no, trusting your gut, even trusting a plan you made for something simple gets way harder. Because there's like part of you that doesn't feel like it can rely on you to actually protect what is true for you. You don't trust yourself. And I don't say that to shame you. I just say it because it explains so much, right? You did not end up disconnected from yourself because something is wrong with you. It's because you adapted in situations. And for a lot of the women that I speak with every week, that adaptation started really, really early. Like you had to adapt and disconnect with yourself to get that adaptation to happen in order for you to survive a situation. So let me give you an example. If you had a mom who was super chaotic, emotional, unpredictable, angry, easily hurt, easily offended, or like always making the room about her feelings, any one of those things or all of those things, right? Then that would mean that you learned very quickly, very early to track the room before you tracked yourself. You learned to notice the super subtle tone shift, the look, the silence, the change in energy, the door slam, the sigh, like the way that everyone had to adjust when she was in a mood. And when you grew up like that, you don't usually get to ask, what do I want? Because you're too busy asking, is she mad? Is this going to be a problem? Like, do I need to make myself smaller right now? Do I need to keep this from getting worse? What version of me is safest in this room, in this situation? That wiring does not just disappear because you're an adult now. It follows you. So now you're not just making a decision. You're like scanning and calculating, considering how everyone else might feel in basic decisions. You're like trying to choose the option that won't create tension, that won't disappoint anyone, that won't cause conflict or inflict judgment on you, or like, some emotional cleanup job that you don't have the energy for. It's adding so much to the most basic things. And after years and years of that, of course, your own voice gets harder to hear. It got pushed behind everyone else's voice, everyone else's reactions, everyone else's emotions. Because at some point, paying attention to everything outside of you felt safer than paying attention to what was true inside of you. Maybe there was no space for it, right? So you suppressed it, you ignored it. And then after a while, you stopped asking, what do I want? And you started asking, what's the right answer? Those are not the same question. And I really want you to feel that, like, what do I want is connected. But what is the right answer is usually survival mode talking. It's like that attempt to like self-protection. It's performative. It's trying to make the decision that will keep you from being unsafe, like being judged, getting misunderstood, criticized, rejected, being inconvenient, being wrong, looking selfish, needy, dramatic, or like you're too much. And in case you can't tell from how I'm hitting this on the head, I say this as someone who has done this. Like, this is not me standing outside of the pattern talking down to you. I know what it is to run every desire through a filter before you even allow yourself to feel it. I know firsthand what it is to feel something and immediately start explaining why it's probably not valid. I know what it is to ask 12 people for input when deep down I already know the answer. And that is the part that makes women feel crazy, because you do know. A lot of the time, you actually do know. You feel the answer in your body for a split second, and then the mental spiral comes in and buries it. And after that starts happening, you have a really hard time reconnecting with it. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what happens, how that happens, why it impacts follow through. Okay. And you actually doing what you said you were going to do and being the kind of person that you want to be, and what it actually means to start coming back to yourself. Becoming the woman who follows through, which is like a huge theme in my message right now, is not about better habits. It requires a relationship with yourself, a real relationship with yourself. And if that relationship has been strained or ignored, overridden a million times, or like abandoned for years, of course, follow through feels loaded. These things are connected. Self-abandonment and the inability to follow through on things that would make your life better is connected. So let's get deep into it. A lot of women think being disconnected from yourself would look really dramatic. Like, it would be super obvious. Like, you'd be crying on the floor, having some like giant identity crisis. And yeah, it can look like that, right? But most of the time, it's not a movie moment. It's not like this big come to Jesus moment. It's actually way more subtle most of the time. It often looks like saying something like, I don't care, whatever you want, when you actually do care. You just don't want to have to advocate for it. Or, something like ordering what everyone else is ordering because you don't want to be annoying. Or knowing you don't want to go to something, but saying yes anyway because it feels easier than dealing with the guilt or disappointing someone. Or wanting to rest and then immediately listing all the reasons you haven't earned it yet and all the other things that need to get done first. It can be feeling a no, like deep in your body and knowing like you do not want to do this thing, but then talking yourself into a yes because you can't explain the no well enough. Like you just not wanting to is not reason enough. Or maybe it's like making a plan for your life that looks really good on paper, but doesn't actually feel connected to your real energy, your real body, your real capacity, your real nervous system state of being, your real life. So like it looks really good to think to like be that person, have that routine and live that way, but it doesn't work for you. And sometimes it could be like telling yourself something makes sense when in truth, it just doesn't feel right. And I want to be really, really clear here. I am not saying that logic is bad. Please use your brain. We love the brain. She is super helpful for us, okay? But a lot of what gets labeled as logic is actually fear trying to sound responsible. Okay, so like I'm just being reasonable can actually mean like I don't want to risk being misunderstood. I'm just thinking, I'm trying to process, I'm trying to think it through can sometimes mean I'm trying to make my desire acceptable before I let myself have it. I just need more clarity. I'm waiting for clarity can often mean I don't actually trust the answer I already got. I don't trust what I already know. And like, I just like to consider everyone. I heard a friend say that a couple months ago and it stuck with me. I'm just trying to consider everyone can very quickly and sneakily become, I have fully removed myself from the equation. I'm not considering myself. That's the problem. The problem is not that you think things through or that you're thoughtful or that you care about how your choices impact other people. The problem is when your own truth is the first thing you edit out and that you sometimes maybe don't consider it at all. When you live like that long enough, your inner signal gets quieter. It gets like put on mute. And that's the part I really want you to understand here. Your body is always learning from how you respond to it. Your brain and your nervous system are constantly tracking your patterns. When I send a signal, does she listen? When I say no, does she protect me? When I say yes, does she take action? When I say I'm tired, does she care? When I say something doesn't feel right, does she pay attention? When I want something, does it get to matter? Does she let it matter? And if the answer is repeatedly no, the system adapts because the system is a computer. It adapts. The signal that it's sending you gets quieter. And it's not trying to punish you. It's just because you have been speaking louder than your signal, and your system, your signal, your internal signal has learned that being louder doesn't necessarily mean it'll get listened to. So it goes quieter. You still have the intuition. You still have connection to the signal. It's just, it's so quieted. And that is such a big deal. Sometimes your inner knowing is quiet because it's been ignored by you too many times. And again, I'm not saying that to make anyone feel bad or feel like they're broken or like it's hopeless. It's not at all. I'm actually saying this to you because it gives you your way back. Because if you got disconnected from yourself through repetition, then you can come back to yourself through repetition too. So it's just that we have to stop pretending this is just about making decisions and like having a hard time making decisions or being really considerate. No, this is about your relationship with yourself. For so many of you, that relationship got complicated, like really complicated, because at some point, overriding yourself worked. In some way, in some relationship, in some situation, overriding yourself kept you safe. It kept people happy. It kept things predictable. It kept the peace. It helped you avoid conflict. It helped you avoid judgment, helped you stay acceptable, helped you survive environments where having needs, opinions, boundaries, desires, anything made things harder, made things feel unsafe in some way, shape, or form. This could be like it wasn't even coming from threat. Maybe when you were growing up, you were praised for being the easy one. Maybe you were praised for being mature, responsible, strong, for being the one who didn't need very much, for being the one who could just handle everything, the one who didn't make anything complicated for the parents or people around her. That can become addictive, honestly. Like being the one who keeps everything together and who handles shit, it doesn't need much. Because people praise you for it. They praise you for it because they benefit from it, because they're relying on it. And meanwhile, you are slowly disappearing from yourself. Your ability to make decisions that feel good for you is disappearing. You become so good at reading the room that you stop reading yourself. I think we also become so good at being reasonable and palatable and easy that your desires start feeling unreasonable. Like anything that you might want feels unreasonable. You get so good at considering everyone else that your own voice gets pushed all the way to the back. And then years later, you're sitting there wondering why you can't make a decision without asking 5 people. Like, of course you're asking everyone else. You've been trained to check the outside before checking and trusting the inside. You've been trained to ask yourself like, oh my God, what are they going to think? Will this upset anyone? Can I explain this? Does this make sense? Is this acceptable? Is this okay? Is this responsible? Instead of just what is true for me? What do I actually want? What is my body already telling me? What am I pretending not to know that I do know? And this is where the connection between like self-disconnect and self-suppression and follow through gets affected. Because follow me here. Follow through is not just doing what your planner says. It's not just doing, what was on the agenda for the day. It is doing what you said mattered when the old pattern starts pulling you away from it. What did you say mattered to you? The kind of person you said you wanted to be, the kind of routine you want to follow, the kind of mom you want to be, the kind of woman you want to show up as day to day. You said that mattered. But the old pattern, the old programming starts pulling you away from it, and that requires self-trust to come back from. It requires a part of you to believe that when I say something matters, I mean it. When I make a promise to myself, I'm not just creating pressure. It's important. And I need to keep that promise to myself from a place of self-love. When I feel resistance to something, I can tell the truth about what's going on with me. And I can speak up for myself and say, it just doesn't feel good to me. When I make a plan, I have actually included myself in that plan and included my own feelings and considered myself in that plan. But when you have been disconnected from yourself for a long time, the plan like that you're making for yourself, that the new you, the way you want to be, it usually starts with suspicion. So what I mean by that is it can look like, okay, I'm going to be consistent with this thing this week. But then right away, there's already this little feeling of like, are we though? Should I be focused on that right now? Is that okay? Or if you say like, I'm going to work out. And then part of you is already like waiting for the moment that you fall off track, that you disappoint yourself because you've just done it so many times. Maybe you're a business owner, a personal brand, and you say, I'm going to post on social media consistently. And a part of you already knows that you're going to overthink it, every piece of content, until you disappear and don't do it. And you're always like, this time I'm serious, but some part of your brain has heard that exact speech before and doesn't trust you. That's not you being hopeless or negative. That is your brain having a fuck ton of evidence that that's who you are. And I want to say this super carefully because this is where I think a lot of women start spiraling. Your brain having evidence of something about you does not mean the story is permanent. It just means we have evidence, and it means we need new evidence. That's all. We got to separate all the meaning that we assign to things and the heaviness and the shame spiral from facts. We just need new evidence. Okay. But the new evidence cannot come from another shame fueled overhaul. That's where people go wrong. When you feel disconnected from yourself, the instinct is a lot of the time to like come back through intensity, a whole new routine, a stricter plan, a full life reset, a total overhaul, a new era. This like, I'm done with my bullshit moment. And listen, I love a little I'm done with my bullshit moment. Okay. Sometimes we need that. But if the plan is built from panic or pressure or shame or comparing yourself to someone else or trying to prove that you're finally going to have your shit together, it might give you a few good days, but it will not rebuild trust. You will go back to the old pattern because you'll always go back to your subconscious wiring. And because in that moment that I've had enough of my bullshit moment, you're still not listening to yourself. You're commanding. You're pushing. You're not coming back into a relationship with yourself. You are making demands on yourself. You're telling the real version of you to hurry the hell up and become the fantasy version by Monday morning because you're done. And when your real self cannot sustain the plan, that trust rupture gets even worse. And you think like, see, this is the person I am. I can't trust myself. I never follow through. But sometimes the issue is that the plan was never really built with you in mind. It was built from panic, and it was built from the part of you that just really wanted relief, from the part of you that was super fucking sick of feeling behind and sick of her own shit, from the part of you that hated how last week went and just needed proof that this time could be different. So the plan might have looked really good and made sense, sounded super responsible, but it wasn't actually connected to the version of you who had to wake up on Tuesday and live it out. Does that make sense? That's why so many women have beautiful plans that feel completely disconnected from their actual lives. The plan looks so good. It sounds so good. It would probably work for somebody. But it was never really connected to your body, your capacity that you have right now, your energy, your schedule, your nervous system, your values, your actual truth about where you're at right now. So then when the plan collapses, you think you failed. But babe, that plan was never really yours. Maybe it belonged to a version of you who's trying to earn self-respect through pressure and performance, because that's what you're used to. That's how you earned love your whole life. That's how you earned peace your whole life. Maybe the plan belonged to the version of you who believes that small progress doesn't count. It's got to be all of it. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be all or nothing. And this is one of the reasons why I care so much about subconscious identity work, because behavior change that ignores subconscious identity becomes exhausting and impossible to keep up really fast. And identity change that ignores the nervous system that has learned from experiences becomes really fake and performative and unsustainable really fucking fast. You can write I am her all in your journal all day long. Great, super. But if your body does not feel safe being seen, being consistent, having boundaries, asking for more, speaking your truth, resting, following through, making more money, moving your body regularly, being a fitter version of yourself, being more attractive, taking up space, disappointing people, whatever, then the old pattern is always going to pull you back. This is why we have to look underneath the behavior. The behavior is a symptom. It is the surface. The pattern is running deeper. So second guessing yourself is a behavior. Overthinking is a behavior. Asking everyone else what they think before you make a decision is a behavior. Changing your mind 12 times is a behavior. But underneath that, there is usually a system that does not feel safe letting your first internal gut signal be enough. So that's the work. When you are connected to yourself, your plans get cleaner and clearer. They're not tiny or boring or pointless, not like lower your standards and call it like, oh, I'm healing. No, they're more honest. They're more rooted in your true self. They're more livable in your life because they're considerate of you and where you're actually at. And like I said, your capacity, your energy, your life, your schedule. They're more powerful plans because they're actually connected to the woman who has to execute them and live it out. When you are actually connected to yourself, the way you plan starts to change. It's like you stop building routines for a version of you who has like no nervous system, no interruptions, no emotions, and no actual life. She's just perfect and balanced. Perfectionism is making you feel like shit. It's ruining your life. When you're actually connected to yourself, you stop saying yes to things just because the better version of you should be able to handle them. You look at what you can actually do. You stop needing 5 people to confirm what you already know in your body as your truth for you. And you start catching the places where you've been calling it desire, but it's really pressure. It's really what you think you should do. It's not really what you desire. Sometimes, we get the signal just gets so messy. We think we're being wise, but we're really afraid. We're making decisions out of fear. Sometimes we say we're just resting, but we're really avoiding things we know we need to do or start. Sometimes we call it like preparation. I'm just getting prepared, but you're overthinking. And when we have those realizations because of self-connection, that's where things get clearer. Not always easier, but they get clearer. And there's a big difference. Clarity does not always mean the next step feels super comfortable. Sometimes clarity ends up making you more responsible and taking self-ownership, right? Because now you can't pretend you don't know what you want. You can't pretend you don't know what's going on with you when you're in this pattern, right? So I think that's why people avoid clarity. Like, let's be honest. Sometimes we say we want clarity, but what we really want is a feeling that makes the decision cost nothing. Does that make sense? We don't want the decision we know we need to make to cost anything. We don't really want clarity. We're actually low-key scared of it. We want to know that we can remove any discomfort with making this change in our lives or making this decision or speaking up or admitting we have this desire or whatever. We want to guarantee that no one will be upset. We want to feel confident enough that there's no risk. Nothing bad is going to happen. And that is unfortunately not usually how clarity works. Sometimes it's pretty quiet. Sometimes it's annoying. Sometimes it's like you already know. You don't need clarity. You already have it. You already know. And you're like, okay, rude. But that's the point. And yeah, it might make someone else's life they're not able to benefit from you making your life harder for them. So it might make something uncomfortable happen. But my point here is you don't always need more clarity. You don't always need more information. Sometimes you need to stop abandoning the information you already have and stop abandoning what you already know. And I think that's where a lot of you are. Like, you've read the books, you've listened to the podcast, you've taken the courses, you've learned the tools, you've had the therapy sessions, you've journaled, you've had these aha moments. Like, you know a lot. But then you're still sitting here thinking, why am I still doing the same shit? Why am I still stuck in the same place? Because knowing is not the same as being rewired at a subconscious level where all behavior comes from. Having awareness of yourself is not the same as having a new identity. Understanding your pattern is not the same as becoming someone who responds differently when the pattern shows up. That's exactly why self-awareness can start to feel super frustrating, because at some point you see the pattern happening. You see yourself being stuck in your own bullshit. Like, you're overthinking. You're outsourcing the answer to what other people think. You're trying to, make your desire make sense before you let yourself have it. You can see yourself talking yourself out of what you already know is true for you, but then you still do it. That is the part that makes women, I think, feel like, what the fuck? What the hell is wrong with me? I know better, but I'm still doing it and I'm still terrified to not do it. Knowing better is not the same thing as being wired differently. Awareness matters. It's the first step to change. It gives you the ability to see the pattern instead of just living inside of it. But awareness is not the whole change. The change doesn't happen until you meet the same old moment that used to trigger the old pattern and you respond differently. It doesn't have to be perfectly, but it has to be differently. Like you notice the spiral, the overthinking, whatever, your old pattern, the spiral starting, and you pause before you ask everyone else what they think. You let the no be there before explaining it away. Like you just say, no, I'm not going to be coming to that, and not explaining it. You take that like small little step before your brain talks you out of taking action on the thing you need to start doing. That is where the brain starts getting that new evidence. That's where the identity starts to shift. Okay? I want to be so clear here. Coming back to yourself does not mean you just do whatever you feel like doing all the time. Absolutely not. We're not talking about being a selfish bitch here, right? We're not turning avoidance into like a spiritual practice. We're not just doing whatever you feel like doing all the time. Like the internet loves to do that, by the way. Like, I'm just my feminine energy. And like, you're avoidant as fuck. Everything is alignment. Everything is my body said no. I'm honoring this season of my life. Like, okay, maybe sometimes, but also maybe you're avoiding and just giving it pretty language to make yourself feel better. We have to be able to tell the truth. Being connected to yourself means you can actually notice what's happening inside of you without immediately dismissing it or letting it run your life. You can feel resistance and not instantly decide that means stop, don't move forward. You can feel tired and ask, what kind of tired is this? Am I avoiding? Is it my brain trying to make me tired so I go back to my old avoidant patterns? Do I actually need a restful moment? Like, what's going on here? You can feel a no and let it be there before you explain it away. You can just let it sit with it for a minute. You can want something without making the desire prove itself that it's worthy, like why it deserves to exist. You can just notice that you desired something and not do anything about it right now. Just notice and sit with it. Ask it something. Ask it why it's here. Ask what are we going to do about this? Where did this desire come from? How long have I had it? Like, it's okay to just be aware and notice that. You can feel super scared without automatically calling it intuition and just sitting like, where is this fear coming from? What's the root of this? And you can be honest, like you can want rest and still be honest about whether you're actually resting or just numbing out because you're overstimulated and your nervous system's shot. That's the nuance of all of this. The goal is not to become someone who ignores herself. And it's also not to become someone who obeys every feeling like it's the final word from God. The goal is to hear yourself clearly enough to lead yourself honestly. You hear that combination? Like, that matters. If you only listen to yourself, but you never lead yourself, then you can end up calling every single discomfort a reason to stop. If you lead yourself without listening, you end up forcing, pushing, overriding, and wondering why you resent your own life because you're not giving space to your own desires. We need both. We need the ability to hear what's true and the ability to decide what happens next. And follow through on what you said you wanted to do, who you wanted to be. Follow through requires both of those things. You cannot drag a disconnected, resentful, overruled version of yourself through a plan that she never agreed to and expect her to become consistent just magically because you want the results that come at the end of that consistency. At some point, she's going to push back. She's going to avoid, shut down, overthink, procrastinate, self-sabotage. She's going to suddenly decide that, oh, right before I'm going to go do the workout or do the money pattern practice I decided, or the EFT or the meditation or whatever, all of a sudden I got to declutter the bathroom drawer. It needs to be organized immediately instead of doing the thing that she said mattered. You see these like little sneaky, stupid ways that our brain creates for us to distract us from moving towards what we want because it feels unsafe. So the way back to this balance, right, is not some giant declaration. Like, from now on, I trust myself completely. Like, that's cute, but like your nervous system doesn't work that way. The way back is smaller than that, which is great news. It's like annoyingly smaller. It starts with telling the truth in really tiny places. Like, what do I actually want to eat? Do I want to say yes to this? Does this feel heavy or light? Does this opportunity feel heavy or light? Does this making this decision a yes? Does that feel heavy or light? And just noticing, am I really tired or am I kind of being avoidant right now? Like, do I need support? Do I need support right now? Do I need support in this? Do I need to ask my husband to help me with this? What do I need to do? What am I pretending not to know because I'm just afraid of the results it'll bring? What is the honest next step for me here? Like little things. And I want you to notice how none of those questions are asking you to blow up your life. They're not asking you to make a massive decision or a massive change right away. They're just asking you to listen to yourself. That's it. That's how the self-connection comes back. Listen without immediately needing the answer to be convenient for everyone else. Listen without turning it into this whole analysis, without making your desire prove itself, prove that it deserves to be here. If you've spent years overriding yourself, your body may not hand you the biggest truth first. It may start really, really small. Like, I don't want to eat that. I just need 10 minutes alone. For a sec, I just need a second. I actually don't want to go to that. That message actually really bothered me. Like, I'm avoiding this. I'm tired. I'm scared. I want more. I don't want to do that. I really want to go to that. Those little whispers, those little moments matter. And I know they feel small, but they are how you start rebuilding the relationship with yourself. And then comes the part that actually builds trust back, the small follow through. It's actually not in the huge promises you made to yourself or dramatic changes or like a full reset. It's small, believable evidence. You said you would rest for 10 minutes and you did. You said you would leave when you felt done and you did. You said you would send that message and you did. You said you would take the 10-minute walk and you did. You said you would listen before overriding yourself and you did. You said you would stop making your no defend itself. And you did. Today, you actually let it be enough. You just said, no, I'm not doing that. And that was it. That is how the relationship with yourself starts to heal. Through repeated experiences of, I can trust me with me. I feel like that line feels so simple and low-key, kind of cheesy, but it is actually everything. I can trust me with me. My yes matters. My no matters. My desires matter. My body matters. My commitments matter. Even my commitments to myself. My truth matters. My feelings matter. And when that starts coming back online, your follow through starts to change. Because now you're not just like performing consistency, like forcing a plan, pushing yourself to be a certain version of you as long as you can until it's not sustainable anymore and you go back to the old way. Like, you're building a relationship with yourself where you can heal yourself, trust yourself, you can hear yourself and lead yourself. That is so powerful. That is where the start-stop cycle starts to lose its grip. Because that cycle thrives on disconnection from self. It thrives when you make plans from a place of panic or when you set goals from shame and you call it ambition. I'm just done with my own shit. But you're really like acting from shame and self-hatred. It thrives when, you chase a version of yourself who only exists under perfect conditions. That old cycle thrives when you make promises from pressure and then you hate yourself when your real nervous system and your real schedule and your new capacity cannot hold them. But when you start coming back to yourself, the questions change. They're just like better ones. Like, what is actually true for me here? What am I available for in this situation? What am I no longer available for in this relationship? What is the smallest honest step I can take forward? What would follow through look like in my real life with my nervous system? Where I'm at today, what would that look like? That's a completely different conversation. And that conversation with yourself can change your life. So if this episode is making something click, or if you're realizing like your follow through issue might be deeper than motivation, it might be deeper than just a discipline issue, I want you to come to Tuesday's class. It is live. I will be there with you. It is completely free. It is called Stop Starting Over. Okay. The 5 steps to becoming the woman who follows through. And listen, this episode is about recognizing the disconnection from yourself, but the class is about changing the pattern that keeps pulling you away from the woman you said you wanted to become. Because you know as well as I do, you do not need another plan that ignores your real system, your real wiring, your real life. You do not need another shame-fueled reset, right? Another push, force. You do not need another fantasy version of yourself making promises that your real self has to pay for and can't. It's not sustainable. It's not real. You need to become a woman who can hear herself, lead herself, and follow through in her real life. I'm going to teach you how to do that, and it's designed for women who are living busy, chaotic lives and feel a little overburdened or a lot overburdened, okay? The class is happening live this coming Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. The link is in the show notes, okay? Or under the video if you're watching on YouTube. And there's also 2 easy ways you can get the link and just click and sign up. It's very, very quick. You can go to Instagram and comment "send link" on any one of my posts. It'll automatically DM you. You can also just type the link into your browser, alliecasazza.com/stop-starting-over. All squished together. No dashes or anything. And before we wrap, I want you to take this with you. You can come back to yourself. You can listen to yourself again. You can stop making your desires defend themselves for existing. You can stop outsourcing every answer to other people's opinions. You can build a relationship with yourself where what you feel, what you want, what you know, and what you need actually matters. And it doesn't have to start with a dramatic life overhaul. You've done that already. It can start with one honest moment. One small truth you know about yourself. One thing you stop arguing with yourself about. One promise you actually keep to yourself. One, moment of returning to yourself instead of going on the external and listening what everyone else thinks. And one more thing. If this episode made you think of one specific woman, send it to her. And don't send it as a vague, this was good, share. Actually send it to her and say, this sounds exactly like we were talking about. Or listen to this, especially the part about blah, blah, blah. Okay. Or I think this is the language you were trying to find in our conversation that you told me about, or what's been coming up for you lately. Because that is how women stop feeling insane inside patterns that are actually really fucking common. Someone gives them language, then they pass that language to someone else. So send it to her. Send it to her. And if this episode hit you, screenshot it. Tag me on Instagram. Tell me the line that got you. I want to know. It helps me. It helps me grow. It helps this message get in front of more women. It helps me know what you want more of so I can continue supporting you. And one of my favorite places to support you is here on the podcast for free. I fucking love you. I'm rooting for you always. I will see you at Tuesday's class. Click the link, sign up, completely free. I will be there live with you. I love you so much, and I am rooting for you always.